every time the president uses the word tariff, he caused complete chaos and confusion. And it's created a state of emergency for America's farmers.
In 2025, a silent crisis is unfolding across America's heartland. Farmers, the backbone of our nation, are shutting down production at an alarming rate. Fields that once thrived with crops are now empty. But what's behind this sudden and dramatic exodus from the fields? From soaring input costs to shifting government policies, the agricultural sector is facing a perfect storm of challenges. Rising debts, extreme weather, and trade disruptions are just the tip of the iceberg. The very people who feed us are now struggling to survive. What's driving this agricultural collapse? Could the government's actions be making it worse? Is climate change the real culprit? And most importantly, can we afford to ignore the ripple effects of these shutdowns? Farming in the U.S. isn't just an industry, it's the heartbeat of the country. From the crops that fill our plates to the jobs that sustain millions, farming is vital to everything we do. But in 2025, U.S. farmers are facing a storm that's making them struggle like never before. So what's going on? Why are our farms facing this financial crisis? The answer isn't simple. It's a mix of rising costs, falling crop prices, and shrinking profit margins. The U.S. has about 1.88 million farms, but even as they work hard to feed the nation, a large chunk of our food still comes from abroad. It's a delicate balance between growing enough and relying on imports to fill the gaps. However, what's happening in the fields today is anything but balanced. Farm income is declining, and it's a serious problem. In fact, this year, the U.S. Department of Agriculture projects that net farm income will drop by 6.5% in 2025, following a tough year in 2024. For farmers, it's a constant battle to make ends meet as crop prices drop and costs skyrocket. When you factor in a predicted $5.6 billion drop in crop receipts, it's clear that the financial outlook is grim. Corn, soybeans, major crops that drive the economy, are all seeing smaller returns. The question is, how much longer can farmers push through with rising costs and shrinking profits? And it's not just the big farms feeling the strain. Small and medium-sized farms, which make up the majority of U.S. agriculture, are bearing the brunt of this crisis. Many are seeing losses year after year, and it's taking a huge toll. With fewer resources to weather these challenges, some are deciding they can't keep going. In fact, the USDA estimates that nearly half of U.S. farms earn less than $10,000 annually, making them especially vulnerable when things take a downturn. For these farmers, the dream of passing down the farm to the next generation is becoming harder to achieve. The pressure to survive is growing, and it's a battle many simply can't win. On top of all of this, input costs are rising at a pace that farmers can't keep up with. Fuel, fertilizer, machinery, everything needed to run a farm is getting more expensive. While there's been a slight drop in fertilizer prices, it's nowhere near enough to cover the broader increases in other costs. And while the government is stepping in with direct payments, the reality is that these relief efforts, though helpful, can't solve the deeper structural problems at play. For farmers, every dollar counts, and they're spending more and earning less. That's not a sustainable formula. In response to these pressures, the federal government is increasing farm payments, with direct assistance reaching $42.4 billion in 2025, which is a significant jump from the year before. While this does provide some relief, it's only a temporary solution to an ongoing crisis. Right now, the future of American farming feels uncertain. With falling income, increasing costs, and the steady closure of small farms, the agricultural sector is at a crossroads. If things don't change soon, the impact could be felt by all of us, at the grocery store, in our rural communities, and in the broader economy. And as the storm of economic strain intensifies, policy changes and delayed aid are only adding fuel to the fire. In 2018, the government enacted the 2018 Farm Bill to provide essential programs for farmers, covering disaster relief, crop insurance, and other vital support systems. However, as the 2018 Farm Bill approached its expiration in 2023, many critical programs faced uncertainty. Although the bill had been a lifeline for so many in the agricultural sector, the expiration of the bill raised concerns about whether these programs would continue uninterrupted. In response, Congress extended the bill through 2025, allowing programs to continue while a new bill is being discussed. But as the expiration deadline loomed, farmers were left unsure about their safety nets. The bill, which has been crucial for so many farmers, was extended until 2025, but these delays left many programs in limbo for a time. This uncertainty has left farmers uncertain about what kind of support they can rely on in the future. It's a massive problem when they're already facing so many other challenges. As if that wasn't enough, the American Relief Act of 2025 came through with $30.78 billion in aid. While this relief was meant to ease the burden, many farmers are reporting delays and inconsistencies in receiving the support they were promised. Imagine waiting for financial help after suffering through disaster only to find out it's either delayed or doesn't arrive as expected. This added uncertainty has only made things worse for those already struggling. The aid is critical, but the timing and delivery aren't what they need to be for farmers to recover from the blows they've already taken. Adding to the frustration, the USDA has seen massive layoffs, with more than 15,000 employees lost in a federal workforce restructuring. This has hit the agricultural sector hard, as key programs like those providing disaster relief and conservation assistance are now severely understaffed. The loss of these experienced personnel means there's less help available for farmers, and it's harder for them to get the advice and technical assistance they need. Programs designed to support them during tough times are now running on empty, causing further delays in receiving the help they depend on. So what does all of this mean for the future of farming in America? It's clear that these policy shifts, combined with delayed aid and cuts to essential services, are putting farmers in a tough spot. With all of these disruptions, it's getting harder for farmers to plan, invest, and manage the risks that come with farming. And just when things couldn't get any worse, trade wars and market instability have taken the crisis to another level. The troubles don't stop with delayed aid and expired policies. With trade wars and market uncertainty, they're struggling like never before. This isn't just about lower crop prices, this is about the future of American farming being at risk. Trump administration imposed tariffs, which sparked retaliatory measures from trade partners like China. These tariffs cut into the demand for U.S. agricultural products, leaving farmers with excess produce that they can't sell. For example, China, one of the largest buyers of U.S. pork and soybeans, canceled major orders, causing a ripple effect that left American farmers with unsold goods and empty pockets. To make matters worse, the U.S. is now staring down a record agricultural trade deficit in 2025. That's right, our country is importing more than we're exporting, and this imbalance is hitting farmers hard. With less access to lucrative international markets and reduced demand for their products, American farmers are facing tough times. It's no longer just about getting the crops in the ground, it's about fighting for market access, keeping their businesses afloat, and hoping the global economy turns around. The trade issues aren't just affecting the big farms, small and medium-sized farmers are feeling the pain too. Many of these farmers rely heavily on international exports to stay profitable. With key markets like China canceling contracts and tariffs limiting new sales, they've been left in the lurch, trying to figure out how to survive. As a result, crops that were once worth millions are now worth much less, forcing farmers to decide whether to sell at a loss or watch their produce rot. The U.S. is also facing another growing problem, the agricultural trade deficit. In 2025, it's expected to hit new highs, highlighting just how much of the agricultural market is skewed in favor of imports. This deficit not only undermines the stability of farming businesses, but also raises concerns about food security. When the country is importing more than it's exporting, the effects are felt across the economy, from farm communities to grocery stores across the nation. And for the farmers stuck in this mess, it means fewer customers for their products and more competition from abroad. For many farmers, this situation feels like a perfect storm. They're up against rising costs, shrinking market opportunities, and an unpredictable global economy. With fewer places to sell their products and fewer resources to weather these challenges, many are wondering how much longer they can hang on. The struggle is real, and the future of American farming is uncertain. If the trade wars and growing deficits continue to drag on, it could spell disaster not just for farmers, but for the entire food system. While trade wars have created uncertainty in global markets, farmers are now facing another crisis, an even more critical shortage of labor to get the job done. The labor shortage in farming is escalating, putting the entire food production system at risk. Immigrant workers, who make up nearly 40% of the agricultural workforce, have long been the backbone of American farming. But with changes in immigration policies, these workers are disappearing. As enforcement tightens, fewer immigrant workers are coming to farms, leaving a huge gap that American workers aren't filling. For farmers, this means longer hours, higher costs, and a constant struggle to keep up. The effects are already being felt, especially after the stricter immigration policies during the Trump administration. The number of foreign-born workers entering the U.S. has dropped, creating a ripple effect throughout agriculture. Economists warn this could lead to labor shortages like those seen during the COVID-19 pandemic. These shortages are causing delays in planting and harvesting, key times that can make or break a farm season. Even though some industries are offering higher wages and better working conditions, it's still not enough to fill the massive gap in labor. In 2025, labor costs for agriculture are expected to reach over $53 billion. The problem isn't just about paying more, it's that there simply aren't enough workers to do the job. Specialty crop farmers, in particular, are suffering because their crops need to be tended and harvested at the right time. Without enough workers, they're losing profits. If this continues, consumers will feel the impact too, with higher prices and fewer options in the grocery store. This shortage is also threatening food security. If there aren't enough workers to grow and harvest the crops, we'll produce less food, leading to even higher prices and possible shortages of everyday items. The USDA has allocated $50 million to stabilize farm labor and improve the food supply chain, but it's still too early to see how much of a difference this will make. The bottom line is that this labor shortage isn't just a minor inconvenience, it's a serious issue with far-reaching consequences. Without comprehensive immigration reform and a stable workforce, the future of U.S. farming is in jeopardy. The clock is ticking and farmers need help now before it's too late. But the struggle doesn't end in the fields. In response to mounting pressure, farmers are refusing to stay silent. Protests and online movements are growing and they're demanding change now. Across the country, farmers are taking to the streets and social media like never before, standing up for their livelihoods and demanding change. In 2025, what started as small protests has grown into a powerful movement, with farmers making their voices heard in ways that can't be ignored. From tractor parades to viral social media campaigns, they're showing just how serious the situation has become. These protests are not just about policies, they're about the survival of American farming. In places like Western Massachusetts, over 300 farmers gathered to protest USDA funding cuts and the closure of local offices. Clad in their work boots and worn-out jackets, they marched to Town Hall hoping to make their concerns known. In Maine, more than 100 farmers lined up on tractors and paraded through Augusta with signs reading, "Support farmers, not billionaires." They're frustrated with the federal cuts to agricultural programs that have been the lifeline for so many small farms. These farmers aren't just protesting for themselves, they're fighting for the future of agriculture, and their voices are getting louder every day. But it's not just in-person protests that are making waves. A new generation of farmers is taking to social media to amplify their message. With large followings online, they're using platforms to share their stories, rally support, and demand policy changes. Influencers like E.O.N. Humphreys have become the voice of agriculture, spreading the word about what's happening in rural America and pushing for solutions that can help farmers thrive again. Social media has turned into an essential tool, giving farmers the platform to reach people who may never have understood the struggles they face on a daily basis. Community support is crucial too. Local residents are coming together to help farmers by organizing fundraisers, volunteering on farms, and joining rallies. People realize that when farmers struggle, everyone struggles. The support from the community is creating a sense of solidarity, reminding farmers that they're not alone in this fight. At the heart of these protests is the fight to preserve a way of life. Farmers are standing up not just for better policies, but for their families, their farms, and the future of food in America. The movement is growing stronger each day, proving that when a community comes together, it can face even the toughest challenges head-on. It's a powerful reminder that we all have a role to play in ensuring the survival of American agriculture. The road ahead is uncertain and the resilience of U.S. agriculture is on the line. If these challenges aren't addressed soon, the very foundation of American farming could be at risk. For farming to survive and thrive, real changes need to happen. To ensure the survival of American farming, it's crucial that policymakers, industry leaders, and local communities come together to find lasting solutions. We need systemic support that addresses the root causes of these challenges, whether it's tackling rising input costs, improving market access, or creating policies that help small farms stay in business. The future of our food system depends on the strength, support, and resilience of our farmers, and time is running out to act. As we've seen, the future of American farming is hanging by a thread. What do you think can be done to help our farmers? How can we support their efforts? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates. Thanks for watching.